fun fact for you, only one person has ever been known to be killed by a centipede. So hello people, hello YouTube again, and so today we're going to be learning about the Book of Revelation, and I'm going to be starting with chapter 4. So this is the throne room of heaven, and it's basically describing the throne of heaven, what it's like. So you hear about the throne being it was like he who sat upon it was like jasper, had sardis stone in appearance. There was a rainbow around the throne, and its appearance was like an emerald. And the throne, there were 24 thrones with the 24 elders, and you've probably heard of the 4 living creatures as well, each with 4 heads and 6 wings. And so now we're going to talk about the scroll. So this is basically the Lamb takes a scroll in chapter 5. This is about Jesus, and he's taken the scroll, and it has, you've probably heard of the 7 seals of the apocalypse on the scroll. And so this is basically like an overview of the book of Revelation. So in chapter 6, it starts with the first seal, which is the conqueror. And it says, look, and behold, a white horse, and who sat upon him had a bow, and his crown was given to him, and to conquer and to conquer him. So this is talking about the Antichrist, and he sits on a white throne, just like Jesus does, and he's carrying a bow. So he offers peace, but he has no weapons. And so then the second seal is about conflict on earth. So this is about wars that might go on, and it talks about the horse that is red, and talks about the one who uses sword to kill other people. So that's talking about war and things. And then there's the third seal, so that is scarcity on earth, so that's famines and stuff like that. And so the one who sits upon that is a black horse, and and it had a pair of scales. And so it's saying that it says a quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil or the wine. So basically, there's going to be, in the future, there's going to be widespread famine and stuff like that, and the prices are going to skyrocket and stuff like that. There's going to be rush for hard assets, stuff like oil and wine perhaps. And then there's the 4th seal, so there's widespread death on earth, so that would be obvious with the widespread wars and famine and stuff like that. And so that would be death and Hades following after him. So when it says a pale horse, actually what pale is there, it means green, so it's a chlorine colour, so it's like a green horse actually. And so then we see the 5th seal, so this is the cry of the martyrs. So this is people who have died during the tribulation, who refused to take the mark of the beast, worship the Antichrist. These people have been left behind after the rapture and have accepted Christ, or Christians who may have slackened behind before the rapture and then become serious Christians again, and they've become martyrs for their faith. And then there's the 6th seal, so this is cosmic disturbances. So that'd be meteors, and it says about the sun turning as black as sackcloth, and the moon becoming like blood red. And then the kings and everyone hiding in caves. So this 6th seal is talking about Jesus coming back, to establish the 1,000-year reign. And so then there's the seal of Israel, so this is a remnant of 144,000 Jews, 12,000 from each tribe, who go out to proclaim the gospel and not to take the mark of the beast. There's also a multitude from the Great Tribulation, so that's also other people from every tribe, every language, people who've accepted Christ during that time, and been martyrs or may have died of natural causes during the tribulation, and they've accepted Christ. So now I'm going to, on chapter 8, I'm going to start on the 7 trumpets. Now, before I go into that, I need to talk about the Antichrist a bit. So, who is this Antichrist? So basically, you may have heard of 666, so 666, 606. And so, but if you take the Greek symbols for that, it's they're all Muslim signs, and so this Antichrist is going to be an Islamic one, and he executes people by beheading, and the only religion in the world that does that is Islam. So he's going to be Islamic. He's going to be Islamic political leader, and he's going to come out of Iran or Iraq sort of area. And basically what he's going to do is, I talked about in the previous video about this war with Israel and how it took 7 years to burn all the weapons and 7 months to burn all the weapons. So what he's going to do is he's going to establish a treaty that lasts for 7 years, and he's going to break it 3.5 years later. And so this peace process might take 7 months to do. And so he's going to establish a peace agreement between Israel and its enemies so that they live in peace. And so basically there's 7 trumpets is the first 3.5 years. So let us get into it. So the first trumpet is the vegetation is struck, and so what this is that it says, and the first angel sounded, and hail and fire followed, mingled with blood, and they were thrown into the earth. And a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grasses were burned up. So basically what's going to happen is a third of all the vegetation on Earth are going to be wiped out. So a third of all plant species are going to go extinct. A third of all vegetation is going to go and be completely burnt to ash, basically. And then there's the second trumpet, the sea struck. Then the second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood. And of the living creatures in the sea, a third of the living sea creatures died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. So you can imagine, so this is talking about like a meteor coming to the earth, and it's so powerful, so big that it smashes into the earth and causes a third of all living creatures to go extinct, and a third of all shipping to go to be destroyed. So that will cause mass economic damage, mass starvation of food, just massive chaos in economic terms, and environmental destruction as well. I mean, you could imagine tsunamis and stuff. Again, I do not know when this is going to happen, but at the rate things are going, Jesus could come back within this century at least. Well, that's what I think. I don't think it's going to... I'm not saying that it will, but at the rate things are going, it will happen. I'm just saying. So the third trumpet is the waters are struck. So this is talking about fresh water. And so it says, a great star from heaven fell, and it was burning like a torch, and it fell on the rivers, on the springs of the water, and it made everything bitter. The name of the star is called wormwood, and so many men died because the water was made bitter, so it was polluted. So this could be just another meteor that smashes into the earth and contaminates contaminates all the fresh water on the earth. A third of the fresh water in the earth, so it gets rid of a third of the fresh water in the earth, and you know how precious fresh water is. And then the fourth trumpet, the heavens are struck. So it says, a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars. So a third of them were darkened, and they did not shine. A third of the day was in darkness, and did not shine, and likewise the night. So there was a third less daylight, and a third less night as well. And so then there's the next one. So chapter 9, this is a very difficult... Oh, for Pete's sake. I'll see you in the next video.